let's use all our knowledge from Unit 8 now to solve rational equations that involve adding or subtracting. Much more challenging problems, but yet very doable based on the skills you've just learned and properties of rational functions. Here's example number 1. If you need to pause the video, go ahead and do so. And I wrote the steps for solving in red on the right. Here we go. Letter A. It says list all the x values for which this function is undefined. Well, we only have one numerator right there. Obviously, there's nothing there, so x cannot equal 0 for this particular problem. First thing we got to do, x cannot be 0. All right, letter B. Multiply the entire equation by the common denominator. Well, we only have one denominator. That's x. So our common denominator, in this case, is x. Because what we want to do is get rid of the fractions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this entire equation and I am going to multiply it by x. Critical to understand that piece. Very critical. Now, if I take x times the first piece, x times x will give me x squared. If I take x times the second piece, this x and that x will cancel out, leaving me with plus 8. Because really, I get 8x over x. X times 8 is 8x, but these x's are going to cancel, which will just leave me a plus 8. And that's why we do step B, because we want our fractions to cancel out. And finally, this x times what it equals, which is 6x. Beautiful. We have now gotten rid of our denominators, and we now have an equation that we all know how to solve, which is step C, simplify. Well, it's a quadratic. That means I got to make it equal to 0, so I'm going to minus 6x and bring it over here. X squared minus 6x plus 8 equals 0. Now I'm going to factor it, which we all know how to do. This would be x minus 4 and x minus 2 equals 0. And then I solve this piece, set it equal to 0, and x equals 4. And this piece right here, x minus 2 equals 0, and I solve, and I get x equals 2. Now, the last step, we need to check for extraneous solutions. What is an extraneous solution? It is a bad number that doesn't work in our equation. You're going to always have those. Now, part of these bad solutions are right there where we listed the values for x that are undefined. But I noticed that I don't have any x equal to 0, so I'm okay. But what would happen if I would put a 2 in here? Would it work? Well, 8 divided by 2 is 4. 2 plus 4 equals 6. Oh, so 2 works. What if I put a 4 in there? A big 4. Well, 8 divided by 4 is 2. 4 plus 2 is also 6. And so this solution also works, and therefore in this problem, I have no extraneous solutions. Second one. A little bit more challenging, a little bit more complex. Pause the video and write it down. Letter A. Find values that cause the function to be undefined. Well, I notice I have x minus 7 here and x minus 7 there in the denominator, so therefore x cannot equal 7. I cannot have an answer of 7. Letter B. Multiply by the common denominator. Well, what is our common denominator? I have an x minus 7. This is like finding least common multiple. I have an x minus 7, and I also have here, I got a 2. That, people, is my common denominator. So now I'm going to erase this so I have a little bit of room. And what I'm going to do is multiply this entire equation by 2 times x minus 7. Leave it in factored form for a reason. All right, now when I take this times that, the x minus 7s are going to cancel out. Actually, I'm going to write the whole thing out for you so you understand what I'm doing. There we go. That's what you get in the first piece. When I take the second piece and multiply it, I have a plus sign, and I'll have 2 times x minus 7 times x over 2, and then equals, and when I take what's in green times what it equals, I'll have 2 times x minus 7 times 5, the whole thing over x minus 7. Now again, people, I really hope that you understand what I'm doing, because what I'm trying to do is get rid of all the denominators. Well, in the first fraction, the x minus 7s cancel out, and I get 2 times 2x minus 9, plus the second fraction, the 2's cancel out, and I get x times x minus 7 equals, and the third fraction, the x minus 7's cancel out, which leaves me 2 times 5. And I have gotten rid of my fractions and simplified my problem a little bit. Now I'm going to simplify as a whole. All those properties you learned a long time ago. Distribute. 4x minus 18 plus distribute. X squared minus 7x is equal to 2 times 5, which is 10. I got a squared equation. Write it in descending powers. Here we go. So x squared comes first. I have 4x minus 7x, which would be minus 3x, minus 18 equals 10. Now I got to minus that 10 to get it over here, and I get x squared minus 3x minus 28 equals 0. All right, well, got to solve that. I believe that's factorable. Looks factorable. X minus 7 and x plus 4 equals 0. Beautiful. Well, this piece gives me an answer of x equals 7. And this piece right here gives me an answer of x equals negative 4. Uh-oh. Step D. Are there any extraneous solutions? Well, I go back up here and it says x cannot equal 7. Uh-oh, I got x equals 7. That's not an answer. That's extraneous. It can't be 7. Well, that leaves me with one answer, negative 4. So I better plug negative 4 back in and see if it works. And I really, really hope it does. And I bet if you plug negative 4 back in, and for the sake of time on this video, if you plug negative 4 in for all the x's, I believe that you will find out that it does work and will solve our problem. And that's, people, how you solve rational equations involving adding or subtracting.